This is the Reflector Reflections podcast. My name is Annie. Join me as we journey around the world talking with fellow reflectors as they navigate their unique design. Today's beautiful conversation is with Kezia and is a fellow 5-1 reflector. Kezia is also a human design guide, an embodiment mentor, a wellness advocate, just to name a few. I first met Kezia through the Human Design Reflector Facebook group that her and her fellow reflector partner, Paroxus, administer. And she was posting about her own podcast called Life on the Correct Frequency that she hosts with her beautiful Manifestor friend, Milla. So I have loved getting to know Kezia, and I'm very, very happy that she's here joining me from Sweden. So thank you.
Wow, what a welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited that we do this together now.
Yeah. Me too. So let's dive in. Now, one thing that I've learned about you is you have so many years of experience being a reflector. You're married to a reflector. You're a guide for reflectors. You just bring it all. Can you talk to me? Can you take us back, like how many years it was? 12 years.
Okay, so the whole story. I met Human Design 2010. So it's 11 years now, exactly. I was introduced by a close friend of mine. She is a manifestor, so she impacted me and said her mom had found something. Her mom is a projector. They found something and it was really interesting, and they run my chart and it's all white and it's super interesting. And she said it explained a lot to her about me, like how I approached life, why I was how I was. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm intrigued. And I checked it out. And that's kind of how everything unfolded. It never let me go again. And I had looked at other systems like the Enneagram and all kinds of self-development tools. And my upbringing is in a very, let's say, spiritual family community. We were living on the road in the US. My parents were doing a lot of new age, I air quote that now, I don't have a real term for it, but spiritual work. So I was in contact with a lot of things since my birth. But I was at the time where I met Human Design, or it found me, I was really lost. And that's what I often notice when people come to me. It's at a point where they're really lost, and then Human Design falls into their life and gives you so many answers. So 11 years ago, there was not much Human Design going on. There was no reflector group. My partner, Paroxus, he actually made this reflector group on Facebook. So there was barely anything online, especially. There were communities a little bit, but in person from the OG Human Design people. But, I was 26 or something at the time. So I wasn't in that network at all, because they had, they were emailing and phone, normal phone. So that was not my world really. So my first line, because I'm a 5-1 as you, was intrigued and needed to investigate. So I found everything that you could find online until it wasn't enough anymore. And I needed more. And then life brought me a really nice opportunity to join a reflector retreat in Italy in 2011. Wow. No, in 2010. My God, yeah. Oh yeah, October 2010, 10. That was the fun thing about it, exactly. So I took my month, because I started to experiment with it straight away. I was like, okay, this is something I just can do. I can try out to wait a lunar cycle for bigger decisions. Not if I'm hungry, but like if it's correct for me to go to this retreat, for example. And it was. I ended up in Italy, in Florence. the first ever reflector retreat.
Wow.
Yeah, and I met my partner because we had chatted a little bit before. Because the funny thing is that we're born the same day in the same year.
Yeah.
So a mutual friend had connected us and said, "Hey, oh my God, I just did a reading for her, and you have the same birth data and birthday. It's really funny. Maybe you want to connect." So we connected and chatted a bit and met there. And was a magical week for myself. I mean, I met my partner, that's one thing, but at that time I was in a relationship, so I wasn't looking for, I was just really in my process and busy with myself.
Mm.
But it was a magical week. This change of frequency, this shift after a few days when all reflectors could, just shed all the energy we had brought from the trips and from living in a lot of energy, just shed away. And it was just this opening because we really had no contact with anybody else.
Wow.
Except reflectors.
Yeah.
And we had a beautiful cook. I think her name was Maria, and she was a generator, but we made sure, or the host made sure, Nizark, the host made sure that we would never have contact aura to aura with her. So we
That's
had
amazing.
really I know, she came into the kitchen, she prepared food with so much love, and she left. So we always were in this aura frequency of reflectors for, what is it, 5 days or 7 days? I don't remember.
But wow.
It was amazing. Especially, there's a recording from the classes because we had in the mornings, we had it reflector style. We started at 10 for 1.5 hours, and then we had like half an hour in the afternoon, and that was it. It was really like reflector style, enough for us, not too much. And they're recording from the sessions, and as the days go by, there's more and more silence because it's a room of open throats and no energy in. I mean, we're alive, we have energy in a way, but there's no life force in that sense. So it's just hours and hours of silence on this recording, which was such a just, and people just started to shut up more and more. It was so amazing. In the beginning, it was a lot of, all the conditioning and all the pressure that came with the trip and everything we brought. And I mean, a lot of the people there were really early in their experimentation. I knew about human design half a year when I went there, so there was a lot conditioning still, which still is there, but was a lot of old patterns, and it was so interesting to feel this quiet after a while.
Wow.
Yeah. And in the end, Maria, our cook, was allowed, I'm air quoting again. We made a circle, and she stepped into our circle, and we just, beamed her up, and she was like, she wasn't into that, spiritual or this, whatever this is. She just thought we're a nice group, and she helps us. She was the cook there. It's all fine. But then she stepped into that, just standing surrounded by 11 or 15 reflectors, and she was just like, what is happening?
Wow.
So I think that was pretty cool for her too. And so that really showed me that, okay, there's something about this human design. There is something, because I felt home with this. I didn't know these people, but I felt like a understanding and sense of, oh my God, I see you. And for the first time, people see me, because you can be very invisible as a reflector in this energy world. So that kind of set really this foundation and the anchor that I was like, okay, that's the shit here. I need to go on trying this out. And I was quite radical. And a lot of relationships subsided, which is, okay, because they were just not, it didn't, all the love to the people, but it just didn't, I changed, they had changed, it just didn't work out anymore. And I'm really lucky that I met Paroxus at that trip. We started to chat more, and I visited him in Sweden, and the rest is history. I mean, I live here now since 11 years. We have a little 1-3 all individual manifesting generator son, keeping us busy and sharing his love and life force with us. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that that was long now. Sorry,
no,
huge
that's
story.
amazing. I love that because it's such history and it really needs to it's really important that we do visit these stories of our life and
Mm,
journey back occasionally because that's this is your beautiful journey to life. This is how you became who you are now.
mm,
I want to ask, just stepping back to that period of time where you were only around reflectors, and you're saying that everyone became quiet, and it made me think if we were only around each other for an extended period of time, would we ever speak? You know,
mm.
you've just got to think there is a, you know, you just go right there is an example of even though it's peaceful and it would have been amazing for an extended period of time, that's just a classic example that we really do need each other. We really do need those other forces in our lives, don't we, to
Mm,
bring out the speech or to bring out the thoughts, to bring out the
mhm.
it just as
The
you were saying that, I
wisdom.
thought, wow, I could imagine if you would have stayed there in that little in that alcove for months, would everyone just be silent? Would we turn into the silent people? Anyway,
Yeah, I guess.
uh,
I mean, there's always potential for silence. And I said that in our class yesterday that the waiting and the silence that creates space, and actually if you shut up, you really hear what's going on. If you go on talking all the time, you're distracted because you're busy with making words in your mouth. Probably not saying that much anyway. It's just um so I guess we would have been silent a lot. But of course, at some point, we also have to share and talk because we are humans are made to exchange.
yes,
Um, so yeah, as you said, we need each other. There is something about our designs that we are made to support each other and to be there and to communicate. It's just if there's no defined throat that keeps the energy of speech
yep,
going. Not saying that defined throats are supposed to talk
yep,
all the time, because that's also not a healthy way of approaching your defined center. But yeah, it probably is less less less
yeah,
words being used. I
yeah.
could imagine that. I mean, I don't know. We could try it out. Let's have a retreat for a month and a
I
full
mean,
lunar cycle together. I
yeah.
know, right? Yes. Yeah, please.
Let's do it. Oh gosh, you were saying that you were raised in the US. Now, with your parents, does it,
Mm,
looking back into young Katsia,
mm.
talk to me about how that was now that you can look back and know, okay, these were my parents. Do you know their design?
Yeah, I do. They're both generators, both emotional,
Mm-hmm.
both defined head ajna. My mom has a defined throat. My dad doesn't. And my mom has an open G, and my dad has a defined G. And both have the spleen defined. So, yes, we have a 6-3 as my dad and a 2-4 as my mom. I know their designs
Yes.
in the big picture, which conditioned me and my sister. She's a projector. Um, I'm very lucky that my mother was very sensitive and had a good, without knowing human design, because I'm born 84. So it was 3 years after I was born that it actually just, came to this planet. So my mom didn't know anything about human design raising me. But she's very, she also is a medium. So she's very highly sensitive and attuned to a lot of things. So she always felt that I had different needs. So she always was like, just give her space, give her time, let her be. Still, there's a lot of conditioning, and it's nobody's fault. It's just what happens. but she really supported me in a lot of ways, and my sister too, because she always, funny enough, invited her to talk.
Yeah,
It's like,
wow.
okay, now everybody, I think I would like to hear what Karen has to share. So Karen, do you want to share something about this topic? And then my sister felt seen and heard, and as a
Yeah.
projector, like this wisdom came out. And so growing up, that was really supportive. But of course, I see a lot of conditioning, and I see a lot of things that I do because of their designs and their mechanisms and their definition that I was used to identify with.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
around my mom, I would talk and talk and talk, and she would really get tired of listening because she, this pressure of my open throat, and I would just
Yeah.
um, go on for hours and hours, things like that. So, but they also are interested in human design. They're not as nerdy as I am, but they know about their design. They know about defined centers and open centers, the bigger picture. So they really see the value of it, and we sometimes talk about it, and they're curious. My dad listened a lot to recordings from Ra because he thinks he's really an interesting personality, which he was.
He is.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah,
It
he
is.
is.
It is.
He is special. I don't
Such a
know. Did that
unique and
answer the
beautiful.
question?
It did. It really did. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
So going forward now with your life, like when you first found this out, and obviously you went to this retreat, so you really took a deep dive in. What are the first
Mm.
things that you started to implement? Obviously, you were just saying there before that you really started to honor that lunar cycle. What else
Yeah.
are some of the things that you really started to go, right, this is where I'm starting right now. This is what I'm going to honor.
Yeah. First of all, as you also mentioned again, the lunar cycle. So I said no to almost everything that wasn't around these 28 and a half days. And that was challenging
Mm.
because my behavior changed, and people around me thought I'm really crazy now or weird. And why is she never part of anything anymore? Um, I really started to be okay with my inconsistency
Mm.
of energy.
Yep.
I try to really stop to compare what I can achieve in a day with a generator,
Yeah.
which is a slippery slide, and it's tricky because so many energy beings, sacral beings on this planet. So you always look and see somebody that achieves, I'm air quoting again, achieves
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Um, or what your mind thinks is more and is
That's
better
right.
or faster
Yeah.
or whatnot. And just looking, I didn't dive that deep into the gates and everything, because for me it really was, I really was more interested in diving into the experience of it. I
Mm.
didn't want to. That's also something you can use human design in a very mental way again. You can really just get stuck in studying and studying and studying it, and not actually stepping into the experiment and trying it out. So I really tried it out. But that's something that I find very important, because that was my approach, and that's what I really give to my customers and clients, that I really want to support them to step
Mm.
into the living of the knowledge and the living of their design and the embodiment of it. Um,
And
yeah,
I think that's a
get
really
out of the
important
books,
thing.
get into life.
That's it. It's such an
Mm,
important thing. And again, I've sort of mentioned numerous times as I've started to do this, it became very apparent that there's not, besides yourself, of course, there's so many people talking and they're just rehashing quotes, or they're reading books, and all they're doing is just rehashing the
mm,
same information without living it. without talking about it, doing
Yeah.
what we're doing now, sharing a conversation with a beautiful person all the way across the other side of the world and learning
Yeah.
from each
Wow.
other, because most of us have come into this from word of mouth, or somebody has sort of said to us, do
Mm-hmm.
this, and we're learning from people like yourself and Paroxus that have been to these beautiful retreats that we could only imagine. Hopefully, we're getting back there, but imagine what that must be like. So it's so inspiring to have that and have more people going out and embodying it. Um, and that's coming out a lot by saying, just live it. Stop reading about it. Read as much as you can, but live it. Live the experience, because
Yeah.
you start to find your own
Don't forget
feet.
to live it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Because you can go on hiding behind the books, because the brave thing is to actually do it.
yeah,
Um, and it's weird. I know some stuff in the beginning, although it feels right, is still weird because you've done it whatever, how many, in my case, 26 years of doing it that way, and now all of a sudden doing it different. Some people find it in their 60s, and it's 60 years of doing it that way.
yeah.
But we still have the rest of our lives to unlearn and come back home to ourselves. So it's never too late.
No,
Um,
I love
and
that.
human
Yeah.
design, it's not for everybody.
Mm, yeah.
There are people
Everything's
that
for
will
everybody.
find it,
Yeah.
and I've done reading after reading. Exactly. I've done a lot of readings in my life, and most people vanished into whatever
Yeah.
they do now, which is totally okay. And then there are a few that really you feel when you do a session, oh my
Yeah.
God, that transformed, that got stuck. They really, on a cellular level, the body said, yes, I understand. And yeah, so
Do you enjoy
I
doing
mean,
the
I'm nerding
readings?
out. I'm a first line. Yes, after I really started to be aligned with myself more and more, and I'm also off track sometimes, and I'm living out some not self things, and it's still conditioning, and I'm
Mm.
still triggered. So I I I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, um, but I'm more and more of a selfish person in a good way, because that's also something, as a
Yeah.
woman being selfish, that's sometimes even more weird, because we're supposed to nurture and be, available and,
Yep.
fluffy for everybody. And oh my God, this mothery. So just saying no to things is my superpower now, and being picky with my clients.
Yeah.
And I feel, because I have a lot of years of experience, I feel when somebody is approaching me and we have a short, because before I do a reading or any other work, I have a short back and forth. Either it's email or a chat, or we have a short Zoom, just to get to know from both sides, do we really want to work with each other?
Yeah.
And
That's
I
really good.
really feel really fast, this is not going to do much for you with me.
Mm.
Doesn't mean that the person, it's nothing personal. It's just that I feel maybe I'm not the correct fit,
Mm.
or the person or human design is not a correct fit for the person, or my work is not the correct fit. So it just doesn't resonate as it could. And then just being picky and saying, thank you so much. No, thank you. Because it's for myself
Yeah.
and also for the client. I really want to have the most, the best possible outcome in a session that I and we can experience together.
Mm.
And not do it because, oh, okay, I need to have some money here, and I should take on this another client because blah, 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 all
Mm.
these mental reasons, because it drains me, and
Yeah.
the person doesn't get much from it.
I love that
Yeah,
you
but
you
then there
know
are these
that and you
sessions where
honor
it's
that.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's also respecting the client.
Yes.
You say, okay, I feel that this will not be the best for you. If the client really insists in having me as a mentor, um, we can talk again. We can see maybe in a month, maybe something shifted. We'll see. But in that moment, it just doesn't feel 100% because it's just there are these sessions. And I have a very beautiful client right now. She really she's studying human design. She wants to teach it, but she wants me as somebody that helps her embody it. So I'm allowed to, kick her butt sometimes and say, "What you doing? Do you see what's happening?" She's a generator, so I can ask her this yes and no questions. Did you reflect over that? You see what's going on? Is it correct for you? Does it feel good? Are you in your old way of doing things again? So
Yeah.
these people that are so curious and just, breathing it in and want to learn more, and you have this special sessions where it's just like I feel like a little child playing with this other person, and then we create poetry for we as a reflector, I tune in into their frequency, into their needs, into their wording. Also my words change and how I describe things and the pictures that come through. And Paroxus said that so beautifully, we create poetry individually for you.
Yes.
Because every session is just for the person that we're with or the group that we're with. We do group work too.
If you don't mind sharing this, talk to me about having a relationship with a fellow reflector. You probably get asked this question a lot. I know you would because we find it quite fascinating. But I guess before your son came into the world, what was that like? How does that feel?
Yeah. I mean, how does it feel? There's a lot of freedom, a lot of space, a lot of understanding. And in our case, it's very different because, there are other reflector couples, but we are also almost the same design
Yeah,
because
I
we're
was going to
born the
ask that.
same day and year.
Yeah.
He's 9.5 hours older. Yeah. So we have on the surface, the design is very similar. If you go deeper on, if you go
Yeah.
to the activations and the tone and the, color and
Yeah.
the motivation and the pH, all these layers that lay deeper, we're very different.
Yes.
Also conditioning is different, experience is different. He's a male, I'm a female.
Yep.
He grew up in Sweden, I grew up in USA and Germany. All these things play into that.
Yes.
But and because we met through human design, so we both were interested in it. It's a different trip. It's our trip.
Yeah.
So even if you are together with a reflector, don't compare to our relationship.
No.
It's just our universe. But because we're both really interested in expanding for ourselves and for the greater good and shifting, let's say, the frequency on this planet and really stepping into things that need to be looked at for ourselves, but also for each other, there's a lot of support. And then there's a lot of challenge, because we do both. We don't have reliable energy.
Yes.
We both, we don't have a sacral that can say, yes, it's fine, I'll take care.
Yeah.
If we're both out, we're both out.
Yes.
If we're both inconsistent, we're both inconsistent, and we always will be. So that was something in the beginning way easier to navigate. And then when we had a son, we needed to navigate in a way different way because all of a sudden there was a little human that needed help and needed caretake. We needed to help him, support him, take care, make sure that he's good, he's
Yes.
surviving, he stays alive. So there was no choice of like, oh, today we're both out, let's just rest the whole day. Like, oh no, this little child needs something, so one of us needs to go there. But it was correct to have him. So, and with all the challenges, I mean, Paroxus at some point he had a burnout, so there are a lot of challenges in that. But there's a lot of empathy and understanding.
Yes.
And also a lot of, I mean, we're both 5'1", so we know also how to push each other's buttons and to be heretic towards each other, which sometimes, can
Yeah,
be
right.
really difficult, but sometimes also really healing, because you can just, there's friction, but then there can be growth again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fascinating.
so
Yep.
it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's a very fascinating
Yeah.
and beautiful experience. And having your manifesting generator sun come into the mix,
Hmm.
as we were just sort of saying before, possibly gives you a little bit of engine every now and then, or a little bit of frustration, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have children, you know how motherhood is with as a reflector, and then having, I don't know, do you also have a generator, a manifesting generator?
Mm,
How many children do you have? I
I have
only see
four.
pictures and I'm like, wait. Oh, I was like, I think three.
I have
But
four, but
four, wow.
I have two very older girls. So my eldest is 26, and my
Okay.
second is 23, and they're both generators. So that
Mm-hmm.
I think I've spoken about it. That explains a fair bit of me always feeling a little bit of overwhelm. And I actually
Mm.
recall a moment with them when they were uh, just in high school, and it used to be I'd pick them up and I'd had a full day at work, and instead of me getting the shits, for lack of better words,
Mm-hmm.
air quoting,
Mm-hmm.
I would just be like, can we just have silence in the car until we get home? And then you can hit me with your day. Because I found as soon as
Wow.
they jump in the car, they'd be like, and this person did this and this person did that. And it'd be like, ah. So I knew back then how to try and go, okay, I need to breathe. And I and I say to them sometimes, I'm really sorry I made you wait that long, but I needed it. So and
Yeah.
they did it. They did it. They allowed me that, I think it was like
Good.
20 minutes.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my little ones that I have a 17-year gap between child two and
Mm-hmm.
child three. She's a projector, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I have then a 5-year-old manifesting generator that, yeah, that is a challenge. That I
The
need
party house.
parenting. Oh, I need parenting expert on here to talk me through navigating that one. But yeah,
Wow.
it is. It's a party
There's
house.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I
But
can't wait.
that's so cool that you could really navigate that and not have this, okay, I'm the mom, I'm supposed to listen all the time, I'm supposed to be, it's like, okay, that's what I need now, and navigate that in such a graceful way. That's really cool. Because I
Yeah.
feel you when it's like, and you're just like, okay, I just came from 2 sessions, I need a breather. But manifesting generators, wow, they
Mm,
have so much energy.
mm.
Um, so yeah,
Yes.
so your little one is a
Yeah.
manifesting generator.
Yeah. 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 And I
That's
find even friendships that you have when you meet them, now that I understand human design, 9 times out of 10, I can generally peg somebody now pretty quickly. Not that I'm judging them in any way, shape, or form, but you can generally peg somebody and just go, okay. And it really helps me understand them and go, okay, this is what I can help, like I can provide, or this is the way I need to
yeah,
communicate with you. And it's
yeah.
just, I think I've mentioned it before, it's made my experience in life so much richer because
Oh,
I can talk to people on a different level, and yeah. The world gave me human design, and I'm so very, very grateful because it's really just allowed
mm,
me to be a better me and everyone to be a better
mm-hmm.
person. It's just so good. Um,
It is. Yeah,
and meeting
I
beautiful
love
people
that.
like yourself, like
Oh,
it's amazing.
likewise.
These beautiful
I
people that we
know.
meet. It's like, how are you doing that? I'm so inspired, or I'm
Yeah.
so it's just a wonderful experience. So with
Yeah.
you and your business, can you talk to
Mm-hmm.
us about that? Because your group was one of the first Facebook groups that I joined, and you've got a couple of thousand people in there. And
Yeah.
it's such a great place for resources. And then I found out
It
obviously about
is.
your podcast.
So this is that's a really great group.
Yeah.
It's reflector group, but it's for every type. but the focus is really to learn and study about reflectors and ask the reflectors, and the reflectors ask each other, and just to have some sort of place where we can exchange, because it's still not clear, fully clear, what our contribution is.
Mm.
And in the human design world, there's so much misinformed teaching out there about reflectors. I'm like, it cringes in my body. I'm like, why do you not ask the people that actually live their design as a reflector? What are you talking about? And
Mm-hmm.
there's always this mentioning of our connection to the moon, which, yes, but what is our connection to other humans? Nobody looks at that. Why
Yeah.
are we here? We're here to play a huge role too. It's 1 point something percent. That's a lot of people on this planet that have this
Mm.
gift of this reflectorness.
I feel
So
what you're saying there,
that's
because when you
something.
first find out about human
Mm,
design in this digital world that we're in, where
mm,
different, me finding out about human design was a different experience to you, because there's just so much information out there now.
yeah,
And what
it's a
you're saying,
jungle.
it's bullshit. A lot of it, it's just rehashed bullshit that you just go,
Yeah,
hang on a second. You're saying the same thing, but just with a different verb. This doesn't make sense. I'm not feeling it. And I
yeah,
think that,
yeah.
again, I'm repeating myself here, but it's just like that. I got annoyed.
Go on
I'm just like,
repeating it. It needs to be heard. It
it's like,
is.
this is not, it's
Yeah,
not okay. And then, they're, because when you get into it, you're like, oh, I really, when you're nerdy like me, you want to get in, you want to understand it, not necessarily to teach it or to, but to help yourself and other people and your family and your friends.
yeah,
And
mm,
so you're kind of like, it's shell shocking, because the rehashed information that comes out about reflectors is like, well, you're just a mirror and you're just got this Teflon aura. And that's all you hear. And you're
I
like,
know.
hang
Oh,
on
the
a
moon.
second.
Bye. I
I'm like,
know.
and I'm like, that,
In
no.
all, I know. In all the classes I did, seven. But that's kind of what Rouse said. It will be
Mm,
70% will be about sacral beings. Around 8% will be about manifestors. 21 will be about, and then there's this 1%. But the 1% was so little. It was like this type, this type, this type. Then there's the reflector, and we move on. And I was like, what?
yeah.
Why do I not? Hello? Where's my? Why am I
Where's
not
my
showcased?
information?
Where's my? Yes. So we as reflectors need to unite and find out what our gift is. Why are we here? Like fully to understand that for ourselves
Mm,
individually, but also as a collective reflector energy being. I don't know.
yeah.
Funny thing is, before Ra passed away, he actually was about to do classes or programs or something really targeting the reflector and what they are here to do. And so,
Mm.
but then he passed away. So now, yeah,
The
we
baton's been
can.
handed over to the collective. It's
Yes.
really interesting, because the more that I'm doing this and the more I'm actually really having conversations with reflectors, we're
Yeah.
we all, and I'm not going to dump us all in the same bucket, because we're not, but there is a level of consciousness that a lot of us have. Actually,
Yeah.
we just do. It is deeper, and I'm kind of starting to get a feel for this. And I
Mm-hmm.
joke and I call it the hive mind. Honestly, did you ever watch Star Trek? It's like the Borg. We are
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
literally. It's like we have this connected consciousness between
Yeah.
us. And
Yes.
every time I talk to another reflector, I'm just like on their brainwave, and it's not a,
Yeah.
oh, I can feel your energy. It's not that. It's like, oh my gosh, we are literally thinking the similar thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've labeled it the hive mind, because I truly think that it's something's happening, and there's a reason. There's a
Yeah.
reason that this is happening. There's a lot more of us coming out, for lack of better words, air
Yes.
quoting. But it might be that we're experiencing, yeah, and when you see all the mirrors, it's just like, we're coming.
We're coming.
We're coming for you.
You watch out.
But I just have this real sense that there's something in this. There's something in us. We don't all fully get it yet, but the more we embodiment is what you're teaching, which I love, and the
Yeah.
more I'm feeling it, the more you kind of go, I don't think anybody can teach you this. You've got to feel
No.
it. And when you feel it, you
Yes.
kind of start to get it, don't you? You're like,
Yeah. And then you
oh,
don't need words. It's just like, yeah, I know.
no.
I know. And I don't need to explain it. And
Yes.
we don't need to explain it. We just need to be it. And it's so cool that you say that, because on the retreat, we always talked about that we are like mushrooms.
Yes.
Because mushrooms, they are interconnected underneath the soil, the whole globe basically, or every
Yep.
continent that had that mushrooms, every mushroom is connected somehow, and then they pop up individually,
Yep.
but there's this deep connection, and we felt that so clearly in this week. We just became this one energy field with still
Incredible.
individual, we're
Yep.
still individual people. I'm not taking that away, but there's this collective knowing,
The
understanding,
mycelium.
and yeah,
I love that. I love that. That's
and
beautiful.
isn't it? And
It
that's
is.
been around a while, and I'm like, yes, we are these mushrooms, and it felt so. Again, I felt home and seen, because I knew that there's something about my gift to this planet in this lifetime, but where are the people that get it? And then it's the reflectors that get it. And if we get it, we can go out there and support in a different way, because we
Yep.
can be the most lost type of everybody. We're all open, like, my God, the conditioning.
Yeah.
Look
And
at
that
what
is
we
that is
can.
a lot of that conditioning, isn't it? That we just when we can be allowed to just support, literally to
Yeah.
support, it's like, oh, I can just support. I don't need to
Yes.
do. That's the
Yeah.
big thing that's coming through about letting go of our
Yeah.
doings and being our beings. Because when we're allowed to
Yeah.
support, we're fucking amazing. It's literally like,
Absolutely. Fucking lutely. 8, 9 years ago, we tried to the reflectors tried to keep something running without any real generator or anything help, so it vanished into the universe again. But we were about to have something called lunarversity, so a place where reflectors can learn about themselves and teach others about reflectors,
mm,
that we tap into that power of the reflector, because as we established, nobody has a real clue
yeah, yeah,
what we're doing,
yeah,
why we're doing what we're doing, and how.
yeah.
Um, I think we all, when in human design as a reflector, we had we tasted these moments.
Yes.
We know what these moments are, but we need to learn to just tap into them more and more, that we know, and have some more of a awareness around that. Obviously, this university never really flourished into something big, but there was already this vision of, we need that.
Yeah.
We need to teach ourselves to teach the others,
Yes.
because nobody does that for us.
Nope.
Um, and yeah,
Luniversity.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful.
and yeah, even certified great people teach stuff about reflectors that make me cringe. So
Yes. Yep. Yep.
that's sadly the reality of that. So
I think the
I'm
more we talk
very,
about it,
very
though, the
thankful
more it's
that you
going.
do that
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I think
Sorry.
it's it's coming. I think, and I really feel that this is giving voice to everybody else to say, oh, I want to do that. And, as you were saying, it's just like it's hard for us because we see and feel so much and we want to be, oh, I've got this great idea and I'm going to go and do that. And it's
Hmm.
just like all of a sudden, it's just like, literally what
Hmm.
you were saying before about this university. It was just, all the reflectors go, this is brilliant. Let's go.
And then poop. There's no
They're like the
nobody.
minions. The little minions just fall down and go boom. So
Yeah. Oh,
I think it can just come about with general conversations and things
yeah.
like that can happen. And we're getting a new a new breed. That's a terrible word to say. I'll probably retract that. I actually want to retract that. But we're having the sacrals really asking us now because they're interested in human design and they're having
Hmm.
reflector children and they're saying, can you teach us how to raise our child better so that we
Yeah.
can support them.
Yeah.
And I think, oh my God, wow, wow.
Hmm.
People
Finally.
people are taking, and they probably always did, but I guess we're in a society now where there's so much information out there. So let's provide decent information, or let's provide just conversations
Yeah.
and take from it what you need.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Always. Yeah.
do you want to just talk about your programs, this beautiful work that you do? Do you want to just touch on that?
So we have Paroxus and I teach a 10-week program right now, in the middle of one. So we regularly teach that, as in reflector terms, regularly. And it's happening when it's happening. But right now we're in the middle of a 10-week program, which is really dear to my heart. It's called Loving and Living Your Design. And we really dive into the embodiment of it. I mean, there's a lot teaching too, because we are 5/1s. We want to establish a foundation. And yeah, just really support people to live it and have kind of a little, or a big support system behind to just be okay doing it and be brave and share the victories and the successes and the things that didn't work out, and share the laughter and the tears together, and just have a very secure frame for that. And then, yeah, of course, we have our I call it reflector sessions, where I love guiding people without. That's something that I love to do when somebody has had a reading already and knows a bit about the design. So it's the deep dive into the experiment individually, and just see unique mentoring program for you to just feel in that moment what you need, what your body needs, what happens for you. Not have this agenda, but just go with the flow and be present to support the transformation that potentially can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the big blocks that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we have chart analysis and readings and things like that.
Thank you very, very much for your time, my darling,
Thank
beautiful
you.
soul
Ah,
sister, my
thank you
moon
for
sister.
having me.
You are
The
welcome.
moon sister.
All right.
Wow, I love that I really love that you do that. I think it's so important that's that happens, and that we get out there more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're heard more.